Welcome to another edition of Hashtag She Talk. It's where I, MalaniKai, go one-on-one with prominent women from various walks of life, not only to celebrate their accomplishments and achievements, but to kind of go behind the scenes, see what their life was like growing up, see what their future endeavors are, and just to have a casual talk. This is a special edition. It's our first time on location, and we are with a living legend, a broadcast pioneer. We are with a broadcast executive, a civil rights icon. She is live. She invited us into her beautiful home downtown Atlanta, Ms. Xernona Clayton. Thank you so much for allowing us in your house.
My pleasure. Age is just a number, but I also learned the Bible says we never know how long we'll be here. We know neither the day nor the hour that we'll leave. So to me, every moment counts. And so I don't talk about the age in terms of numbers, but the time in which I utilize the time I have. So I like to make every moment count. So doing something good. It makes me feel good when I do something for somebody else. It makes me feel good.
I'm trying to dig to a secret. Is it water? Is it kombucha? Is it tea? There's something that, there's just God. You're just saying it's just God in His glory that's making you look this great and giving you this type of energy as well.
You're awfully kind, but I really do nothing right. For years, I forgot to drink the proper amount of water.
Nothing right.
And they said, how many glasses of water do you drink? And I don't know, maybe some days none, get very little sleep. So I'm really kind of atypical of, what people do that's normal. And I don't worry about it. I just get up and thank the good Lord I'm up. And I tell people all the time, if I know who I am when I get up, that's a good day. And I make the most of the day, But I'm flattered when people say,
It's true, though. It's not like we're walking in and you're on. There are many people that have arrived at this young, ripe age that you're at, and they can't even get out of the bed. So
that's true.
It's an honor.
And the worst thing, though, people don't know who they are. I had a woman say to me one time, she said, the most painful existence for anybody to have to go through is what I'm going through. I'm feeding my mother, and she don't even know I'm her daughter. She's lost her faculties. So you see, you could maybe have some walk-around ability, but you don't know who you are. So when I wake up and realize I know who I am when I wake up, that's just another blessing, to make the most of it. Thank the good Lord for it.
Sound like me, a preacher's kid. Sounds like you're about to raise an offering.
You're right. I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that too.
As we looked around this wonderful, I have to call it a museum. You told me you do not accept gifts, even though that's a double negative. So I'll give the offering afterwards. But let's talk about it. Let's go back to Oklahoma. What was it like growing up as the daughter of, they call him the Reverend and the Mrs. So to me, you're a fellow preacher's kid. What was it like growing up in Oklahoma?
When you grow up, you really didn't have a choice in any way. You didn't pick out where you're going to live. So you make the most of it. So when I take the retrospective look of where I came from, I'm really proud. Small town, small-minded people maybe somewhere along the way, but I had the best of all the worlds. 2 loving parents who taught us right from wrong, concerned teachers who taught you how to read and write, and a community that cared about you. When you're small, I guess everybody knows everybody, and you feel like you're being watched over by, the citizens. But you're not examining it really. You're not smart enough. When you're growing up, you take what your life is. But I look back retrospectively, as I had a good life. Loving parents, concerned neighbors, people in the church, and just everything was wonderful. So I grew up a happy camper.
It's fascinating for me to be sitting here talking to you as we talked about civil rights icon legend. We normally hear of your friends and another Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., of one of your close friends who you helped out as well, Coretta Scott King. How did you get involved in the movement?
Um, well, the movement is different from getting involved. When I was in college and there were several of us went out on a combined date, and on the way back to the dormitory we said, let's get a hamburger. And we all had money, and we stopped into the hamburger place, walked in thinking, we're going to get a hamburger. Well, the man who obviously owned the store had a butcher knife this long. It seemed like it was 3 feet long. He said, he took that knife and he said, you niggers know you don't belong here. Get out or I'm going to cut all your heads off. He acted and looked like he meant it. And of course we left, but that was a thing when you don't belong here. You don't belong here. Now later on I heard that because as a black American, you're often told, you don't belong here. This is not for you. This is off limits. Well, I decided that night, of course I'll never eat another one of those hamburgers. It was a chain. I won't eat one today. But telling me or trying to point out to me that I don't belong here is just the wrongest thing you could do for me. I'm a black American who has rights. They're written in the books. I'm entitled to what I ask for. I don't ask for what I'm not supposed to have, but I'm supposed to have an opportunity in this country as a black American, an opportunity to do what I want to do, either rob a bank or own the bank.
Yes.
It's my choice.
Right.
And so that day was the day I think I got turned on about this won't happen to me again. I do belong here. And so I didn't have an everyday run-in like that. But it stays with you when someone tells you you're no good. It doesn't fade just because you walk away. So when I graduated from college, went to Chicago for grad school, but I also volunteered with the National Urban League, the Chicago Urban League. And we found out that good stores like Marshall Fields, every little girl grows up wanting someday to go to Marshall Fields. Marshall Fields, Spiegel, Montgomery Ward's, big stores that everybody knew, Sears. They were nice stores, beautiful stores, and they would give a contribution, let's say, to a black cause, like a fundraiser for the Arts Center or for something. But they didn't hire anybody. There was no black person. So we said, well, let's change this because it's a nice store.
Is this when you went undercover?
Yes.
Like undercover, like
Yes.
Like undercover boss, but
Yeah.
wow.
I suggested to the league that let me handle this project because I think I got a system that might work. My system was just look at the paper and see when there's an ad for an employment opportunity. Because in those years, if you could just type and can halfway spell, you could get a job almost anywhere. And so Marshall Field had clerk typist opening this particular day. Now you had to live close to the place, near the telephone, close enough to show up in person. That was my system. So there was this ad, and I could type. I was a good typist, by the way. Clerk typist, I could spell. So I went to apply, and I said, is the job open for clerk typist? And she said, you're interested? I said, yes. She said, I'm so sorry. We just filled that position. I thought that was odd because it was early morning, but it could have been. But then also my scheme meant try again in the afternoon, same day. Call back and said, may I come in and apply? On the phone, yes. show up. Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, that went enough time that you knew that they weren't telling the truth, that they didn't plan to hire any blacks. And that way, that was our way of exposing their discriminatory practices. And to this day, I can say that I took the leadership and got success in integrating Marshall Fields, Spiegel's, I can't remember all the stores, but the stores that black people could go. They treated you all right once you're in the store, but they just didn't hire anybody. And that's when the employment practices changed, and I had a lot to do with that. But that was kind of like my persona, that you don't sit and complain. Like I did belong there. Unlike that man said, I belong here. I belong in this country. I belong in this house. Why not let me buy the house of my choice? The house that I can afford. Let me buy the clothes I have the money to pay for. I have a right to be here. So that kind of like was the beginning of my, when you have a success, you kind of bask in it and say, oh, it works. And so it was a good leveler for me, because then this is easy, and you think all of them is easy. Well, all of them attacks on discrimination were not easy. But you don't run away from it, but you remember, that I do have a right. I do belong here. And I felt that from that day to this one, you know. So I will fight right now for something that I know could be my opportunity if I wanted to do it.
So speaking of right now, when you look back to the era that you were in and where we are in 2022 with civil rights, do people like me, a woman of color, our cameraman Jared, a man of color, do we have it, would you say, easier than your generation, or do you think we're still in some type of battle to be equal, for equality and civil rights right here in 2022?
Okay, you don't have it easier, you got it better.
Better.
Like years ago, I don't care what you get as a salary for doing this job, you couldn't have bought, or couldn't rent even, an apartment or buy a house in certain neighborhoods. To this day, you couldn't. If we had made that an open case and fought it and won, open housing became a reality, a law. Now you can buy any place your money can take you right now. So we help do that. You don't have to be subjected to drinking out of a fountain that's marked colored and white. I used to think it was Kool-Aid. I didn't know that was a racial thing. But how dehumanizing that is. You don't have to do that today because we fought that. You know, you can sit anywhere on the bus, on the public transportation. So it's easier now because you don't have to deal with the things we had to deal with. You can swim in the swimming pool, unlike the children in Birmingham, where people threw lye in the swimming pool to keep black kids from swimming in the public pool, the pool where their parents had to pay taxes to allow that pool to exist. And now they wouldn't let them do it because they were black. So you don't have that to deal with. That don't mean all the problems are solved. But see, what we need to do now is just know that you can have victories. You got to work. You got to get rid of them. Find a way to solve the problems of discrimination.
So while you're working, doing the work that you've done leading up to now, would you consider yourself a homemaker? Are you cooking? Are you doing your own cooking? Are you cleaning? Are you are you washing clothes? Are you Mrs. Cleaver from Leave It to Beaver? Or are you just a career woman?
I'm the best cleaner. When I do the bathroom, I get underneath and behind you.
Now
Yeah, if I decide to clean,
Okay.
If I decide
Okay.
that I'm going to work, of course I got a housekeeper. But right now, I mean, they couldn't come right now,
Oh, yes.
And so I've got to do the cleaning. And I said, well, I know how. I can do it better than the house cleaner person. So I'm thorough if I do any job I do.
What about cooking?
Well, I'm a little slow there, but I can fix the meal. As a matter of fact, Martin Luther King said to me one time, I bet you can't cook. Said, everybody thinks that you can do everything. I bet you can't cook. I said, I bet I can. And so I said, what's your favorite? I'm going to invite you. I'm going to fix dinner just for you. And he said, I like pork chops. I don't know. To myself, I don't know I do pork chops. But I
He
can
challenged you.
call somebody. I called the lady at my church. How do you fix pork chops? And how you do this? And how you do that? I asked somebody who knew.
Right.
And invited him to dinner, and he laughed, and he said, well, I guess I have to say you can cook. I said, this is a good meal. I know you'd have to, and the way you're eating, I know you would enjoy it, so I can do it.
Right.
I don't do it.
You don't do it, but you can do it.
I can.
Okay.
I can.
All right, so you spoke about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Let's go to his wife. Would it be safe to say that she became one of your best friends ever?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Well, I'd have to say that. And to give you an example, two little stories I want to share with you. When we first got together, I accompanied her on her nationwide concert tours. She wanted to raise money for her husband's organization, and since she was trained in music in college, she went to the Conservatory of Music and got training, and so she wanted to do concerts. And so I accompanied her, and we went on a tour that lasted 10 days.
Is that in California?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
And so we had people traveling with us. Like, of course, she was Mrs. King, so we had security guards all the time with us, and we had, people, who added to our entourage. But anyway, at night, she and I would sit on the sofa. We acted like girlfriends, tell stories and laugh and talk. And over that 10-day period, she said to me when we were getting ready to go back, she said, this was the best 10 days. She said, I love you like a sister, a best friend, someone I've known for years. And we formed a friendship that feels really, really good, something to that effect. So we did become very good friends.
So you're here, we're in 2022. A lot of people, again, know you for civil rights. They know you for being the first person of color in the South to have a primetime talk show, which paved the way for some of my mentors, Monica Kaufman Pearson, myself even being here right now. Were you just that first pretty face on television, or did you know what you were doing?
Well, that's kind of like my answer. You've taken my language. I said, I'm not just a pretty face. It didn't hurt, I guess.
I don't think so.
But I opened the door of opportunity. Now that's the feel-good moment that I get every time someone brings it up.
It's amazing. I sit here in 2022 because of what you did. And it's such an honor and a joy. Now, I'll tell you, I moved here from upstate New York in 2001. I was working in radio. My first full-time job was at Turner Broadcasting. Everybody was saying, you got to volunteer, you got to sign up early. And I guess the Turner Broadcasting employees had first dibs at this award show that I didn't know about. I said, for what? They said, the Trumpet Awards. You get to work with Xernona Clayton. You get to see the celebrities. I said, what's this Trumpet Awards? And so I started going. They were gathering. It was the excitement on campus at Turner Broadcasting on the Techwood campus.
Mm-hmm.
What was that first initial, I've got to do the Trumpet Awards, that aha moment?
The first night of the show itself, the work was okay. I didn't mind work, leading up to the night. But I said to Ted Turner, I said, I need you to be there. And he said, why? I said, to establish the credibility of this project. This is brand new. Nobody knows what I'm talking about.
And this was 1990.
I think.
Somewhere around there, early 90s, yes.
Yeah. Do you know he agreed to come, and he wore a tuxedo and all dressed up, and he was like a kid in a china closet. He was running and cautiously, because, hey, Xernona, there's Jesse Jackson. There's Bill Evans. There's, Muhammad Ali. Oh, he's telling me who's here.
Like you didn't know.
Right. And He did not leave. He stayed all night to the end of the show. It was an instant success, an instant success.
Well, it turned on a lot of people, and here we sit in 2022. How do you feel being in Atlanta? You have a street named after you, and we're now working on a project's being worked on to, this is amazing, when you hear Xernona Clayton statue.
It's almost indescribable the way I feel about all of this. Now it's for real that what I've been working at and working on and working for has some real significance at this stage.
What would you say to me as an African American woman in a predominantly all-white, male-filled, which is talk radio? What would you say to me? What's the secret for my success if I'm going to continue to achieve greatness in this field?
Do your work fearlessly. Like, don't be afraid that someone's going to criticize you. Someone's not going to like what you do. Someone's not going to like what you wear. Be yourself, regardless of what other people say. Don't listen to them. Make the moves you think are honest and just and worthy. You need to be satisfied with what you're doing. Be the bank robber or the bank owner. It's your choice. You make the choice.
I'm actually about to tear up right now as Denise sits up there off camera, because talking to her and realizing that I'm sitting here, wow, talking to you. And so for me to be here during Black History Month, having a conversation with you, and you're sitting there like we're friends. Not like I'm just somebody interviewing you, not like, because Denise is probably like, we need to wrap this up, get this over with. I got you, Denise. I could sit here, I have literally forcing myself, and I'm not a crybaby, I don't cry at anything. I'm literally almost tears in my eyes, Miss Clayton. I'm trying to hold it back because I'm a big girl. I'm a professional, right? It's just truly a joy and an honor. And I thank you for what you've done for me. Team Light Skin. I'm just kidding. I was talking to Mrs. Abernathy before she passed, and she was telling me about the brown paper bag test. And she said, oh, MalaniKai, you would pass as well. But we'll have to talk about that a different time. But to be sitting here with you during Black History Month, thank you for the honor. Thank you for the privilege. I cannot wait to see the statue go up. I will use my platform to make sure that this, whatever I can do to make sure that it happens. It's going to happen, and I will be there when they unveil it. What do they do, pull the thing off? You've been at a lot of those, right?
Yeah, oh yes.
Yeah,
yes,
you've been
yes.
at, starting the international walk of, is it the international?
The Civil Rights Walk
Civil
of
Rights
Fame.
Walk of Fame,
Yes,
doing
yes.
that. So you're used to
Yeah.
unveilings and
Yeah.
all of that. But we're going to stand soon and tell the audience, I'll be telling you more about it, and unveil a statue of Xernona Clayton in Atlanta to go along with Xernona Clayton, the street you have. Is the park name, is the park after you too?
Xernona Clayton.
So you got a lot of stuff. What's next for you?
Yeah.
What's next for you before I let you go?
I don't have what I consider the unfinished task, except feed more, clothe more, care more, as long as I'm here.